Before the great Colosseum stood in Rome, the land was not empty. It was the heart of a huge, luxurious palace. This was the home of Emperor Nero, a ruler known for his extravagance and his cruelty. He built a magnificent palace called the Domus Aurea, or Golden House, right in the center of the city after a great fire destroyed much of Rome in 64 AD. The palace was a sprawling complex of buildings, gardens, and even a massive artificial lake. This was a private paradise for the emperor, a place of immense beauty and wealth, but it was built for one man alone, not for the people of Rome. The citizens saw it as a symbol of Nero's selfishness, a monument to his personal greed built upon the ashes of their homes. Nero's reign was filled with excess, and his golden house was its ultimate expression. The palace had rooms decorated with gold and precious gems, and a giant 30-meter-tall bronze statue of himself, the Colossus of Nero. The artificial lake, where the Colosseum now stands, was the glittering centerpiece of this private estate. Imagine a vast, shimmering body of water in the middle of a bustling city, surrounded by colonnades and pavilions, accessible only to the emperor and his chosen guests. For the average Roman, this space was a constant, painful reminder of the vast gap between their lives and the opulent lifestyle of their emperor, who seemed to care more for his own pleasures than for their well-being. Everything changed after Nero's death in 68 AD. His rule had become so unstable and unpopular that he was declared a public enemy and forced to take his own life. His death plunged Rome into a period of chaos and civil war known as the Year of the Four Emperors. From this turmoil, a new leader emerged, Vespasian, a practical and experienced general. He founded the Flavian dynasty and knew he needed to restore stability and win the people's trust. He understood that to heal the city, he had to erase the memory of Nero's tyranny and give something magnificent back to the Roman citizens. His solution was bold and brilliant. He would drain Nero's private lake and build a public monument on top of it. This decision was a masterful act of political genius. By building a massive amphitheater for public entertainment on the site of Nero's personal lake, Vespasian sent a clear and powerful message. He was symbolically draining the swamp of tyranny and replacing a symbol of private indulgence with a gift for all Romans. The new arena would be a place for the people, a venue for spectacular games and events that everyone could enjoy. It was a promise of a new era, one where the emperor served the public rather than himself. This new structure, later known as the Colosseum, was born from a desire to unite Rome and reclaim the city for its people. The construction of the Colosseum was an enormous undertaking, a project that showcased the full might of Roman engineering and the immense wealth of the empire. Work began around 72 AD under Emperor Vespasian. The project was funded in a very specific way, with the spoils of war. In 70 AD, Vespasian's son, Titus, had successfully crushed a major revolt in Judea and sacked the city of Jerusalem. A vast treasure, including priceless artifacts from the Second Temple, was brought back to Rome. This incredible wealth paid for the Colosseum's construction, turning the spoils of conquest into a lasting monument of Roman power and a grand gift to its citizens. The labor force that built this wonder of the ancient world was just as impressive as its funding. It is believed that tens of thousands of prisoners of war, many of them captured during the Jewish-Roman War, were brought to Rome as a slave labor force. They were forced to perform the most difficult and dangerous tasks, such as quarrying the massive travertine stones and hauling them to the construction site. These enslaved workers were joined by teams of skilled Roman engineers, architects, artists, and craftsmen who oversaw the complex design and intricate decorations. It was a combination of brute force and brilliant expertise that allowed the Colosseum to rise so quickly from the ground. The Colosseum was an architectural marvel, far more advanced than any amphitheater that had come before it. Its sheer size was breathtaking. It could hold an estimated 50,000 to 80,000 spectators, making it the largest amphitheater in the Roman world. The design was based on a system of arches and vaults, a classic Roman innovation that made the structure incredibly strong yet relatively light. This allowed the builders to create a towering facade of 4 stories, each decorated with a different style of column, Doric on the bottom, then Ionic, and Corinthian on the 3rd level. This design was not just for strength, it was also a display of artistic sophistication and order. What made the Colosseum truly unique was its focus on public access and crowd control. The building had 80 different entrances at ground level, known as vomitoria. This brilliant system allowed thousands of spectators to enter the arena, find their seats, and exit quickly and safely after the games were over. The seating arrangement also reflected the strict social hierarchy of Roman society. The emperor and senators had the best seats near the arena floor, while the wealthy classes sat above them. The poor, women, and slaves were seated in the highest tiers, furthest from the action. The Colosseum was a mirror of Rome itself, a place of shared spectacle that still reinforced the rigid divisions of class and status. The Colosseum was, above all, a grand stage for entertainment, but the Roman idea of entertainment was often brutal and bloody. The events held there were designed to thrill, shock, and awe the crowds, reinforcing Roman values of courage, military skill, and control over the natural world. A typical day of games often began in the morning with wild animal hunts, known as venationes. Exotic beasts from all corners of the empire, lions, tigers, elephants, bears, and crocodiles, were brought to Rome and unleashed in the arena. Specially trained hunters, or venatores, would fight and kill these animals in spectacular displays of skill and bravery, demonstrating Rome's dominion over nature and its vast territories. As the day progressed, the entertainment often took a darker turn. Midday was typically reserved for public executions, a grim spectacle that served as a powerful warning to anyone who dared to defy Roman law. Criminals, prisoners of war, and followers of forbidden religions were put to death in cruel and inventive ways. Some were thrown to wild animals, a practice known as damnatio ad bestias. Others were forced to reenact gruesome scenes from mythology, where the mythical death would become a very real execution. These public killings were not just punishment, they were a form of state-sponsored terror, designed to maintain order and show the absolute power of the emperor and the state. The main event, the one that everyone came to see, was the gladiator games. These contests, usually held in the afternoon, were the heart of the spectacle. Gladiators were typically slaves, condemned criminals, or prisoners of war who were trained in special schools to fight to the death. They used different types of weapons and armor, and were often matched in pairs with contrasting fighting styles, making the duels more exciting and unpredictable. A gladiator who fought bravely could become a hero to the crowd, winning fame and sometimes even their freedom. These fights were more than just sport. They were a display of martial virtue, endurance, and the Roman ideal of facing death with courage. The games held deep cultural significance for the Roman people. They were a communal experience that brought society together, from the emperor down to the poorest citizen. The violence in the arena was seen as a way to honor the dead, celebrate military victories, and provide a thrilling escape from the routines of daily life. For the Romans, the bloodshed was a necessary part of the spectacle, a demonstration of the life and death stakes that had built their empire. The Colosseum provided a controlled environment where the chaos of violence could be transformed into a powerful and unifying form of public entertainment, reinforcing the very foundations of Roman identity. The Colosseum was far more than just a venue for entertainment. It was a potent political tool. The emperor's role was central to everything that happened there. By providing these spectacular games known as munera, the emperor fulfilled an important duty to his people. These events were often free to the public, a form of bread and circuses designed to keep the population happy, distracted, and loyal to their ruler. An emperor who sponsored lavish and exciting games could gain immense popularity, while one who neglected this duty risked public anger and political instability. The Colosseum was the ultimate stage for an emperor to display his generosity and connect with his subjects on a massive scale. Inside the arena, the emperor was not just a spectator. He was the master of ceremonies, the ultimate authority on life and death. When a gladiator was defeated, he would often appeal to the crowd for mercy. The spectators would wave handkerchiefs or give a thumbs-up gesture to spare him, or a thumbs down to signal death. However, the final decision always rested with the emperor or the magistrate presiding over the games. This moment of decision was pure political theater. By listening to the will of the people, the emperor could show he was a man who cared for their opinions. By making a decisive judgment, he demonstrated his absolute power over life itself, reinforcing his godlike status. The games also served as a unique forum for communication between the ruler and the ruled. In a city without modern media, The Colosseum was one of the few places where the emperor and the common people could be in the same space and interact, however formally. The crowd could shout their approval, make demands, or even voice their displeasure directly to their leader. An emperor could use these occasions to make important announcements, celebrate military triumphs, or gauge public opinion on certain matters. The Colosseum was a dynamic political space where the emperor could perform his power, and the people could, in their own limited way, feel like they were part of the political process. Ultimately, the Colosseum stood as a monument to the emperor's power and the glory of the Roman Empire. Its construction, funded by conquest, was a statement of military might. The events held within it, the slaughter of exotic animals, the execution of enemies, and the disciplined combat of gladiators, all reinforced the message of Roman dominance and control. By providing this incredible building and its thrilling spectacles, the emperor presented himself as the benevolent father of his people and the powerful commander of the world. The Colosseum was not just stone and mortar. It was a carefully crafted instrument of propaganda, a place where entertainment and politics merged to secure the emperor's rule and celebrate the enduring legacy of Rome.